Hello and welcome to This Is Us. I'm your host Dee, and joining me on the panel we have Tyler.
Hey, good evening. Hope you're well.
We have G.
Hello, hi.
And we have Jude.
Namaste, everyone.
Namaste. Thank you for tuning in this evening. Please hit the notification bell and subscribe to this channel for updates. And don't forget to like this video. Now, last week, we started talking about unconscious bias amongst us. If you missed the episode, please make sure you watch back after this episode. But welcome to Unconscious Bias Part 2. I recently watched a video created by Hollyoaks, which highlighted unconscious bias going through the day in the life of one of their characters, Martine. If you missed the video, we have a short clip on our IG page at thisisus_IG, but check that out later. Now, Martine visits the GP surgery. She's noticed that she's found a lump in her breast. She's terrified, so she books an appointment. She has an appointment and gets to the GP surgery. When she gets there, the receptionist then turns around and says to her, there's only one appointment left. Another lady comes in, a white lady, arrives crying, and the receptionist gives her the appointment saying, obviously, she needs it more. Gee, imagine that you were attending that appointment. How does it make you feel, and what would have been your reaction?
Oh, me?
Yes, G. Yeah.
Oh, right. There'll be a fight. Yeah. There'll be a fight. And I've seen the clip, but I've never finished the clip because I get too annoyed to finish the clip. And so I would go into the appointment with the lady that's been allowed in. That's what would happen. No word of a lie.
Right.
Because unless you can tell me why she's gone in before me, Shabi is the same problem. We're going together.
Yeah.
That's what I'll do.
I probably would have done the same thing. But Tyler, when women speak up, we're told that the receptionist, Martine did speak up, and the receptionist did tell her to calm down and stop being so aggressive. All she said was, hold on, I was here first. What makes you think she's in a worse condition than me? Tyler, what's your opinion in regards to the other lady being given that appointment only because she's come off as being somebody that was in more need, but we don't know who's in? She didn't even actually have the appointment. What's your opinion in regards to that, Tyler?
Well, obviously it's ridiculous, because the other woman, Martine, I think her name you said, was like, she was there first anyway, so she should have had the right. You know, the other woman didn't have an appointment. She came in later, so obviously it's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And I agree with what G said. If that was, say, my wife, for example, she would be going in that room. Like, I'll be making sure she was going in that room.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
But then this is where they come up with, and as we said, we're talking about unconscious bias, because it says there that women, we are to stand up. When a woman stands up for herself, when a man stands up for himself, he said that it's good for him to be aggressive. They said that when we stand up for ourselves, it can be quite assertive. But when a Black woman stands up for herself, it's being aggressive. I think it's just that whole, why is it labeled as aggressive? Because we're speaking up for what's wrong. Because obviously that appointment belonged to her. And it's been said that women should be nice, but Black women should be nicer. We're having to sort of conform to what people put out there for us. Yeah. So I'm going to say, Jude, in regards to this whole thing, what's your opinion, Jude?
I was going to just challenge you and challenge G on stuff that you've been saying, but I think you kind of just, at the end of your statement, you kind of addressed what I was going to challenge. It's not about when women speak up. It's when Black women speak up. They are tagged as aggressive. Look, this is why anybody they can crucify me if they want. This is why I don't even give a two bits about the feminist movement, because in that whole so-called movement, the Black women are relegated to the bottom. They don't listen to them. They term them as aggressive. And this is from what I've heard, stories I've heard, and personal experiences. Now with that clip, That's happened to so many times to so many people. I have stood up for my wife before, but my wife is white. So I have said to no, she's getting that appointment. I've done that before in the hospital and all. But with that clip though, one is coming and crying. Why didn't the black lady fall on the floor and start crying? This just relates to what I've just watched this evening on Twitter. Now in America, what we're getting now is a critical race theory. I don't know if you guys have heard about the critical race theory. So there are people, okay, the Biden administration said they need to teach that in school. But there are parents going around and say they can't teach that in my children's school. And one clip I saw tonight, a white lady, oh no, I don't want my children to be taught critical race theory. She was crying, that don't make me a racist. And I started to look at the comments. A lot of white people were saying that makes you a racist. Then a black lady with a blue tick on her Twitter page said, she's crying. And I said to her, that's what you should be doing. Because you as a black person, and that is a black woman, you carrying the persona of, I don't cry easy, I'm tough. This is what the outside world sees. You give them that, they see it. So don't turn around and then blame them. That lady, blonde woman, this is what they've told us about blonde women. They easily cry, the Karens and all of that, the Kathys. They cry and they get what they want. Then you start thinking and acting like them. When that woman came in crying, you should just go and hit your head on the floor. Let me tell you a quick scenario. I was at work one time and a call came. No, I wasn't at work. Sorry, I lied. I was having a drink with a couple of friends in near the Grenfell Tower area, those rich areas. I've forgotten the name of one of those rich areas. Having some dinner with some people. And the call came, some guys, the girlfriend was saying, I need to go into, I'm at the A&E, nobody's listening to me, my head really hurt. And this guy on the phone told her, you know what you should do? Hold your chest and fall on the ground.
But
And
then
she called back later.
why must we? This is
listen,
the other thing.
Listen. Did she call back later and say, I got it, but I felt bad doing it, but I did it. This is, you just asked, why must we? This is why we must. This is the way of the world. The world is a dog-eat-dog world. It's an evolution. Survival for the fittest. You need to learn the ways. Even the Bible said it. Be wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove. Jesus even told his people, he said, use the way of the world. With the world. My dear, if you remember, the fattest dog never eats the fattest bone. You know that. They don't get nothing. You need to follow the ways of the world. That woman started crying. I will go on the gun and go, I will get my turn. It's the way of the world. It's exactly what it is. You play it with the way they play it.
But we're saying that, okay, statistics has it that black women are 5 times more likely to have complications and to suffer things like miscarriages or deaths in pregnancy due to complications more than white women. And statistics have shown this, and research has shown, and this is due to black women feeling like they don't want to come across as the angry black woman or the aggressive black woman. So they're not speaking up in the hospitals, or they've been told it's that whole stamping as, I stand up and say, yes, I'm a black queen. But when I say I'm a black queen, I'm not saying that I'm strong as in I don't feel
But that's
pain
what the public gets. That's what the public gets. That's what they get.
G, I'm going to put that to you. How do you feel in regards to when we talk about us and it comes to us in hospital and we're told that and this is coming black on black. I'm not even saying black on white. I'm talking about the nurses, presuming because you are a black woman, you are strong enough and your pain threshold is sky high. Sorry, how do you feel about that?
Yes, it has happened to me. I mean, I've had several surgeries, and I mean, I think even simple things like me telling them, oh, I react to anesthesia when I go under, they're like, oh, it can't be that bad. And I'm like, no, I do. And they don't believe me until I wake up from surgery and I trash the place and they have to sedate me again. Because I literally wake up fighting because I have no idea where I am or what's going on. And I remember when I was in labor with my son, I'd been in labor for 2 days, almost 2 days. And I went back, I think, third time. And I guess some of us do have a higher pain threshold than others, but some of us just don't show it as well as others. And yes, there's lots of screaming, whatever. I didn't scream, I didn't do anything, but I knew I was in labor. And for the third time, they were asking me to go. And they barely checked me. And I remember as I was leaving, there was a black nurse that saw me kind of, because we were about to leave, but then I think I had to stop to take the pain. So I just stood still and I'd walk 5 steps and I'd stop still. And then, you know, my husband was next to me. And then this nurse was just watching me. And then she just said, come. And then I went to her and then she goes, okay, how many hours have you been in labor? Blah, blah, blah. I told her. And literally mid-sentence, I'd have to stop to just let the contraction or whatever. And she goes, the way you're walking, I don't think you should go home. So I said, oh, well, they told me to go. She goes, don't leave. And then she took me to another room and she asked me to wait there. And she says, I'm just going to watch you for 5 minutes. And she did. And she shoved her hand in there, did some other stuff. And she's like, yeah, you're in labor. You need to be booked in straight away. They should not have sent you home the second time or something. And I'm thinking, if she hadn't seen how I was walking and just watched to see, I would have just gone home and I don't know what would have happened. But I think for me, when I'm really tired, I forget to breathe, let alone start shouting that I'm in pain. So we do have, I guess there is this thing about that they think we can take pain better, but I mean, I don't know. I don't even remember the nurse's name, but that was the only time I saw her. She came, she saw me, she stayed for 15 minutes. She booked me in and then she disappeared. I don't even know her name or anything. I couldn't thank her, nothing. So it's sad that that's a thing that we're assumed to have a high pain threshold, but you know, I don't know.
Do you think that leads back to things like slavery and stuff, for example? You know,
It's possible.
Do you think people think that because we've been through so much that we are naturally?
I wouldn't know. And I'm one of those people that I actually don't watch any slavery movies because I get so angry. I still not ever finished Roots beyond half an hour. And I went to the Apartheid Museum in South Africa, and there's like a bit where you go and watch something for 20 minutes, and after 10 minutes, I had to go stand at the back of the room because I was about to kill somebody. I was so angry. So I try not to watch any sort of like slavery anything. I hear stories, so I know it could be tied to that, but I don't understand where a non-black person would have read somewhere or found some information to say, oh, black people take pain more.
No, that's not literature
I
on
don't
that.
think it's that. I think it's more like they just favor, again, we're going back to the topic, unconscious bias,
it's
or in this
stamped
case,
that we're
conscious bias.
quite thick-skinned. That's
There's no
another
literature for that,
I
and
don't
there's no
know. That's what I'm saying.
scientific. There's no
I don't
scientific
know where
data
they
to
would
back
have.
that.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you. I don't know
Mostly
where
it
they would
comes
have
from
got
us. It
that.
comes from our language. It comes from language. It comes from language because we always say it, and I've said it so many times. My back has been against the wall. I remember when there was depression in this country during the Gordon Brown years before David Cameron took over. Then we went into austerity. I remember even me saying it to people. This little depression, I've been depressed all my life. It's those little languages. That's what leads to that. That's
So do you
I
think it's
come
like
from
when they say,
Nigeria.
"Oh, strong black woman, strong black
Yeah,
man,"
so
or
yeah, and
something?
we carry that language. I'm a queen, sister queen, strong woman. All of that language. The blonde woman don't go, I'm a strong blonde woman. She falls straight on the ground and cries and calls the police, and she
She's
gets
a
it. So
damsel.
use
Yeah.
that way.
Well, that's stereo. Somebody in the chat put it in there. Followers put it in the chat saying that's stereotypical thinking. You just mentioned about the blonde women. There's that talk that blonde women tend to have no. They have no. Is it no
That's
clue
exactly
or
what I said at the
it's
beginning. That's exactly
yeah
what I said at the beginning. That
On
people
bro, that's what I
tend
said.
to say, the people with those kind of, I didn't say
Yeah.
I was saying it, it's what people think. They say, oh, they
yeah
cry and get what they get. You don't cry because of your language. It's the language. They've told that same woman how to cry. I watched a video on Twitter, so I'm talking from facts. It's not comedy. So she was crying, and a black lady was laughing at her. Why are you crying? So I'm saying to the black lady, let her be. She's
stop
crying.
crying
Let
too.
her be. She can't be strong as you. You carrying this strength that you're strong. And then you come back and say, I'm at the hospital and they're treating me like this because I've got strong pain threshold. And she's crying. I tell my boys, cry. I don't want my boys to put up a face that I'm a man. I cry a lot. Let me be.
Yeah.
Don't come tell me, oh, it's a strong black man or it's a weak black man. It's not stereotypical of the blonde person. It's just saying what society is made of think. She's crying, let her cry. They call her Karen, let her call her Karen. You be yourself. Don't be putting up this face when you don't have it, because it's led to so many deaths within the black community, especially black women. So that's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah. I'm now going to sort of move it into when we start thinking about, well, some people believe that women are less competent than men. So they may undervalue their accomplishments and overvalue their mistakes. So, for example, when a woman gets feedback from applying for a role, the feedback she tends to get is vague and focused on communication styles, whereas the man's been given things like or specific feedback that tends to be tied into business goals. I'm going to pass that on to Tyler. Tyler, how do you feel hearing that in regards to women? Our feedback tends to be on sort of how we approached it. So it's more of our communication styles. But a man's feedback, it's to the point, straight about it's all about the business goals. What's your opinion in regards to that, Tyler?
Well, I'm guessing that the people that are interviewing are men, right? If these are the kind of feedback that women are getting, I'm guessing this is coming from men. So
not necessarily, because I watched a video, and this is going back to Martine. Martine arrived late for an interview. She was being interviewed by another woman. When she walked in, the woman was very hard-faced. I'm sure you couldn't have avoided being late, was her response to her. So they showed 2 points of view. So they showed a white woman arrived late, and the woman said, "Oh no, it's fine. We can move around the other interviewees. In actual fact, I've got a cup of coffee for you." And that was her response to the two of them. So one was, "I'm sure you could have avoided that." And then the other one was, "Well, I'm sure you did what you could to avoid being late." And the other one was, "Oh, we've got a cup of," so they were sort of saying it's fine to be late.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Again, this is what we're talking about, isn't it? These are biases that naturally, it's almost like people have been brainwashed. And like you just said, even if it's a woman that's interviewing, it's like they've been brainwashed in this system of like, this is how we treat people if they are not white. Do you know what I mean? That's what I think it comes down to at the end of the day. You know, if someone comes in late and they're black, again, it comes down to like Jude was saying about what we say. You know, there's this thing of black time. You know, we as black people talk about
Africa
that.
time.
Africa time, black time. You know, we talk about that. Our own people talk about that. And actually, that's something that really frustrates me because I'm someone that turns up to places on time.
On time.
So my wife, the one that annoys me the most is the weddings. You know, when people say the wedding's starting at 12, but really the wedding's starting at 2, but they tell you to come at 12. We get there. We're even arguing on the way down. We're like, we know it's not going to start at this time, but just in case, let us go there for the start time. We get there and then we're sitting there for 2 hours. That's happened many times. And you know what? So it's like, we, at the end of the day, with all these kind of stereotypes, with all these kind of conscious, unconscious, whatever you want to call it, biases, we need to improve as well. Do you know what I mean? We need to improve. Word. We need to, like Jude was saying earlier, maybe play the game a little bit more in certain times. We need to not have so much pride at certain times. We need to cry if we need to cry. We need to all these kind of things. But at the end of the day, you know, it's a cold world out there, and you know, you've got to try and get by and do what you can. You know, so
yeah. But it's on such a large scale as well. Sorry, we've kind of, what you just said, there's a hashtag that I've started to follow, or I've started to put on, which is just hashtag check your bias. And that goes to everyone. Check your bias. But G, imagine you've gone into a store and you've picked up a magazine and it said on the magazine, free sample for every woman. What's the chance that whatever that sample is, you could use it? You're laughing.
Yes.
Explain to us why you're laughing.
Because it's not true. It's going to be some ashy, some tints. But it depends. If it's lip gloss, that's universal. But then again, they'll say nude. Ain't no nude gonna show up on this face. It's just gonna look like Vice-Lee. So it's not the same. So things like that. I mean, first of all, let me just say, when I walk into supermarkets, and I see, I'm talking about Tesco Express, and I see a magazine with a black face on, I'm ecstatic. But to walk into, I think I walked into my Tesco Express and they had the Oprah magazine. I have never seen that Oprah magazine there before in my life. I bought it. I've never bought that magazine, but the fact that it was there, I had to buy it. Yeah. And also, if I happen to be in the magazine section, I probably don't do as much now because there's more choice. Any magazine that I see a black person in front of, I'm buying that magazine, you know. And there's a lady that launched a magazine called Cocoa Boy and Cocoa Girl last year.
Oh yes, for our young children.
Yeah, I saw her because I think I saw it on LinkedIn when they were launching. I've subscribed to everything. I get the Cocoa Boy every 3 months for my son, and even though he can't read, but I'm going to stockpile them for him. And I bought a couple for my niece and one of my friends as well, daughter. And my niece apparently loves it, and her mom is also subscribed. So to be representation is so important to be able to see that. I wished I had that when I was growing up. But back to your question in terms of the whole makeup sample thing, mate, unless it's something like mascara or something that is universal in terms of the color shade, I don't bother with it. Like,
Yeah.
if I'm buying the magazine, I'm buying the magazine for the magazine, but not for, and I have to celebrate a lot of the magazines that now they're so inclusive that that even if you buy it, all the because I'm a beauty person, as you can tell, all the beauty stuff, they would still have options for my color and things like that, for shopping or whatever. But before, when I came here, it's just nothing. If you could get your hands on Pride magazine, and they never do samples anyway, you could get it. But apart from that, and even then, you'd have to go to like the black areas to buy Pride magazine. Or
Yeah.
if your newsagent, I used to have to tell my newsagent to please keep me a copy because they only get like 10. And I'm like, come on, come on. But this
But
was
things are changing. I
years
think
ago.
that's
Oh,
where
yeah,
we
yeah,
check
yeah.
in that
Yeah.
bias. Things are changing. I know of a friend who owns her own card company. She's making moves. She's now in, I think, Selfridges and a few other stores. You can see it's a black-owned company, and it's African-attired cards, and she's making moves out there. But I'm going to pass. This one is for Jude and Tyler. So we're going to do a bit of a role play. You're going to imagine. Imagine you're boarding a plane, and you hear through the tannoy the pilot. It's a female's voice, and she announces to you all that she is the pilot. Somebody on that plane now says, "Well, we might not be safe as I hoped. We would, sorry, as I hoped it would have been a male pilot. So if it was a male pilot, we would have been safe. But now I don't think we're going to be safe because it's a female pilot." What would have been your reaction? And you have a young child with you. So you've actually got a young child with you. So you're taking your child on board, and this person's made that comment to have heard the female pilot. Tyler, you're smiling. Do you want to take it first before Jude?
I was smiling because this is a stereotype that we know obviously leads back to women driving. So obviously flying is like the next level of that, right? I'm laughing because I'm going to tell you a true story real quick, right? In, I don't know, 2013, something like that. One of my friends, I used to be friends with her. She surprised me on my birthday and took me to an airfield because I love planes, right? So she took me to an airfield, and then there was all these planes, and she said, "We're going to be flying this plane today." She had a pilot license. I didn't know, I knew she kind of dabbled in that, but I didn't know she proper had a license. So she was the one who was going to be flying the plane, and I was going with her, just a two-seater. And she's only like, 25 at the time, or whatever it is. So I'm not going to lie, I was scared to enter. It took me like half an hour. She put on the thing, everything. It took me half an hour just to sit inside the plane because I was so scared because, I was scared. But you know what? She flew the plane.
I'm going to ask the question. Why were you scared?
I was scared. Okay, cool. If you want me to be real.
Because it was a two-seater, or were you scared because it was a woman?
I was scared because of both. It was a two-seater, so there's no one else there. She was a woman as well. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be honest. I was scared because she was a woman as well. Number 3, she wasn't the best driver. People are gonna hate me right now. Look, this is like 20 years ago, so don't try and kill me.
Because we go, don't we?
8 years ago.
8
years ago. He said 2013. 8 years ago.
I know, 8 years ago. All right, but listen, she wasn't the best driver, first of all. So I was thinking, you're not the best driver. Now you're gonna take me in the air. Anyway, I got in the plane and I'm still here today. So
Amen.
So that's good. So at the end of the day, that for now, I wouldn't really think about that. There's women pilots. I'd love to see it. So if you're a woman and you're a pilot, yeah, do your thing, man. I wouldn't be worried.
When I see women pilots walking, you know how they walk through the whatever they call it.
I wish I was one of them.
No, when they're walking and there's a crew of them and they're mostly women, I applaud. I'm like, women. Go girl, yeah.
Okay, so Jude, you were on that plane, but you actually had your children with you. There's a key thing to that, because to me, it's that whole, your children have just heard that passenger make that statement. Jude, what would be your reaction? So what would you say
What?
to the passenger?
I don't know. I don't
Google
know how I
hide.
will react. First of all, I might react bad. I might have reacted
Yeah.
badly or react badly because I
Google
don't like
hide.
planes. I want to
Oh.
travel a lot, but I hate planes. Look, if we booked holiday for next week, the 7 days or 7 nights before that day, I'll be seeing myself in plane crashes. So there's something very, very bad mentally with me and planes. But I love to travel, and I'm limited because I don't like planes and all of that stuff. I've never had that with I've flown. I've been in a plane where the announcement came and the pilot was a woman, and I never heard anybody reacted. But I don't know how I would have reacted. But in a two-seater plane, whether it was my mother or my sister, I'm telling her I'm not getting in because not because of a woman. Whether it was a man flying it, I won't get in.
Yeah, I
Two-seater,
won't get in
Jesus,
because
I
it's
hate those small
two-seater.
things
Yeah.
because of the number of the statistics of accidents
Yeah.
that I read. But it's a good question you asked. I remember we all know this. What's this man's name? Please remind me. The famous Archbishop Desmond Tutu.
Yeah.
In one of his book, he said was on the plane enjoying his life until he heard not just a South African accent, he realized that the captain and the co-pilot were blacks. And immediately, this turbulence started in his own heart, in his head. He started panicking. So that is how much this bias can take you, this stereotype. Because this is a man who grew up under apartheid. He then said, oh my God, nothing good can come out of black people. This is a black man, a man who stood and took the boots and the batons behind his back. He was so scared. But when he got off that plane, they landed it smoothly. It was the best trip he's ever been on. He went to them and said, please, can I have an audience with them? And he shook their hands and they didn't know why. He only wrote it later in books. So I don't know how I would have reacted. But I've been on a plane where the woman announcement came up. I didn't say nothing. Because first of all, just getting me on that plane, man, I was pissed already. So maybe I wasn't hearing. That's how I get on planes.
What I was just trying to get at was the idea of our younger generation hearing that. Because we're trying to inspire them. We're trying to show them that anyone can be a pilot.
Of
but
course.
to hear somebody say that, I would be... Sorry. Go on,
you've talked about affinity bias, you've talked about the ageism. This you're just asking is about ageism and gender bias. Of course, this is what I do in my house, and I'm just hopeful that I'm doing well. I don't let my girl go do anything when my boy sits there and crosses his legs. They want to hold the remote control and play Xbox. Once I hear the mom saying, Renate, get on, I'm saying, you join her. Oh, I don't know how to do that. I say, learn from her. But that's how I was brought up. It was as you go older, you do all the house chores. It wasn't, oh, you have two sisters, they need to cook and do all. So I'm pretty sure that's how I was brought up and that's how I will continue. Maybe I would have minded my business because another thing I fear so much on the plane is fracas. I've witnessed it before when people got drunk. So probably I would have kept my mouth shut and not talk because I don't want nobody punching me right there when I'm there. I'm so scared of that. So probably that's what I would have done, just pretended like I didn't hear. If my kids have asked me questions after that, I would then tell them, like I normally do in my house, they're watching this, they know I don't lie. You can do everything you want to do, what you say your mind to, but with measured expectations. I don't just say you can be whatever you want to be. No, with measured expectations. Yes. At every opportunity, we need to challenge those biases. But there, 30,000 feet or wherever, I think I would have kept my mouth shut because I don't really want trouble while I'm there. Trust me. It's just personal thing. Trust me.
No, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. G, let's talk about pronunciation. Let's talk about how people pronounce our names or people choosing not to even try pronouncing our names, especially African names. I think we've all here got an African name. G, do you want to talk about that in regards to have you experienced that?
Well, the good thing is my name is fairly easy to say. So I usually, when, how should I put it? Okay, so like this week, I'll give you an example. This week I was in what do you call it? Zoom something at work. It's actually a really good thing. It's on Google. It's called I Am Remarkable. It's like a women's program thing. It's like women's empowerment, whatever. And the moderator, for some reason, was a guy, inclusive, and he did call himself an ally because he's gay, which is fine. So he went around the room asking everyone their names. And then I noticed as he was doing it, I knew there were 2 Black people on that call. And the other lady's name was a bit more tricky than mine, but he went for that one first. And then for everyone's name, he said their names, but then when he came to both of us, he kind of hesitated. And you know when people wait for you to then say the name for them, me, I'll wait for you to try and say it. At least get it wrong first, because you have to try. So everybody's like, Carol, Kinikon, Christina, Kimberly. So when he now got to this lady's name, he's like, and he was doing this into the teams. Dude, say what you see first, and then apologize if you get it wrong, or say, oh, did I get it right? So that's what I always do. And I think I've shared this other example before. There was a lady that called me from the bank, and she goes, oh, am I speaking to Mrs. And then she said my first name. And I'm thinking, nobody from the bank ever just says your first name. You say the first name and the second name, and then as part of your checks and everything. So she told me her name was an Indian lady. We talked and everything. So at the end, when she now said, oh, can you call, is there anything else I could have done better on this call? I said, yes, you should have tried to say my name. And I'm very offended that you didn't, because you're calling from the bank on a very serious issue. Well, it wasn't, she was trying to sell me something. But you're calling from the bank. You, as part of your procedure, aren't you meant to say the person, the tune? And she goes, oh, I didn't want to get it wrong. So I'm like, you didn't even try. So if I give you one piece of advice from an ethnic minority person to another, say the name. If I was Russian, no offense to the Russians, I love Russians, you would try to say it. If it's any other, you would try to say it and then say, oh, did I say it wrong? Or I'm sorry if I've got it wrong. But at least try it. And I do with any company that calls me, oh, hello, are we speaking to Mrs. I'll wait for them to say the name.
You know what? I have to,
I'll put the phone down.
I have to praise, you know, the cold callers, not when not they know your details, but you know the people that call you and they try to, and they're like, is this Mrs. Wow? And they try to, they don't get the wow, but
when they get it wrong, I say no, wrong number, and I put the phone
down. That's very
you know what?
Let me ask you though, yeah. Would you, so what, if people, because I hear what you're saying, and I agree, but then there's a tiny bit of me that maybe doesn't disagree as much, and that's when, so if someone comes to you and they see your name and they genuinely do not know how to say it, but they don't want to murder it, and they say to you first, sorry, can you tell me how to pronounce your name? Is that an issue?
I've had that before.
Personally,
and I always say try first, and I always put a lot of humor to it.
Okay, but let me put a spin on it, right? I'm black, right?
Yeah.
And I'm of Nigerian heritage. But it's only my dad that's Nigerian. My mom's not. I'm born in the UK. So, you know, I didn't grow up in Nigeria, all this kind of stuff. So there's Nigerian names that just because I'm half Nigerian, my dad's Nigerian, or whatever, I still can't pronounce them. So you know, and I know certain sounds and Even my own Nigerian name, when I say it, people, the Nigerians are telling me that I can't say it properly. I'm like,
say it properly. Yeah.
Because my name's Olubenga, because that GB, that is something that we, bang. Like, if you that's something you have to have naturally. Like, if you don't have that, do you know what I mean? So I can know the sound.
I don't think it's something you need to have naturally. I don't think it's something you need to have natural. What I agree with Tyler to understand that if you say, can you tell me how to pronounce your name? They don't do, they murder my name. They murder it a lot. And I just said, that's okay. Don't get up about it. Because you start to sense in their voice that, okay, they know they've effed up. Sorry for my language. But I have to, because I'm in the business of talking to people 24/7 of my life. But
hold on, Jude. So with your name, Jude, they have murdered the name Jude.
Oh, they've murdered Jude? Not just, and Jude is not even a Nigerian name. Now they've decided this last bit of my name, they've made it disappear. They've just disappeared the name. And they just, sometimes they even call me my wife's name. And I will laugh all through the call. And I won't even correct them because they just assume. These are all assumptions. But like Tyler said, I did try at the time to ask a few questions around the Europeans that I know. And I said, I don't know much about English. I didn't pay attention a lot in class. We just did the jacking at a couple of days to your exams and you passed like with flying colors. I said, what is it with consonants and vowel sounds? Has it got to do with the way you pronounce? Because I don't know whether it's different with our names and your name, because you can pronounce Mkhitaryan, the former Manchester United player, very tough name, Archipeleta from Chelsea. You could do that. And just a tiny 3-letter word, the Yoruba boy's name, you murder it. I'm talking about the commentators. So that's why I had to ask and say, Is there somehow with your vowels and consonants that I don't get that makes you murder?
No,
No,
but-
it's just
Do
lack
you
of
know
trying.
what?
Jude,
This
can I
is
say
a
though,
difficult topic.
Yeah.
This is a difficult topic because, for example, okay, I have an Igbo name, and Nigerian will call me Uakego. When I grew up, when we'd have supply
Uakego.
teachers, they found it difficult in pronouncing the name. So
Mhm.
I found it easier to sort of change it for them, and they called me, I'm going to put it out there, Nuwakigu. That's what they couldn't see the silent N.
Sorry, I'm
They
laughing.
called me Nuwakigu. But they still called the name. They still called the name. Then, as years went on,
Mad
it
things,
changed
mad
up to let's change the ego to dollars. So they called me Uaka D, and then now I have D. So now I'm left with the name D because for me it's that whole. I pronounce my name one way, so I'm gonna take the name Jude. Say for example, we call you Jude. Somebody else might have said to somebody, "Well, it's written as Jude, but you can call me Jude." Remember we
Yeah.
had this before.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you can't blame the person if they've had.
No, that's why I don't blame them.
Let's take the name Ola. I've heard Ola pronounced as Ola.
Hola,
Ola.
hola.
Oh, so you can't blame
Ula.
somebody if
I've
they
heard
pronounce
Ula.
that name differently.
No, I don't
because
blame them. The only time that I have, I even don't question them afterwards. The only time that I have issue and I discuss it by myself, and I'm like, I did tell that person that my name is Jude, and they still go Judy, 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 Judy. I'm like,
For
I just
those
told this
ones,
person
I have
Jude,
to respond by
and I have to
getting
sing.
their
I have to
name
sing all the
wrong.
time. I have to go, hey Jude.
No,
No,
that's
I have to
Jude,
sing that song, and
Jude,
they're like, oh yeah.
Can I say, yeah? Can I say
Yeah.
though, yeah? You know when you were saying just now about, like, for example, you used the example Mkhitaryan, yeah?
Yeah,
I hear what you're saying when it comes to, say, like European names, Russian names, whatever.
yeah,
But
yeah,
what I think as well is because we are not from Russia or from wherever,
yeah, yeah.
when we say these names like Mkhitaryan, that's not, maybe they don't say that like that in their country as well.
No.
So it's a language thing wherever you look at it, because I'm
That's
sure
what I'm thinking.
in some of these names in their own country they won't say it like that. Some Russian names that we
Yeah.
say, even the
Yeah.
ones that we know and we're confident to say, I guarantee they don't say it like that in Russia
Yeah.
or wherever. So the name thing is always going to be a difficult thing because of language.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And if you haven't got certain sounds, it's like the Spanish language. You know, they use their tongue a lot, and
Yeah.
like if you can't do that, then you're never going to be able to pronounce
Yeah.
the name properly.
I
You can try and learn it.
I have a Y in my name, and people always think it's the, you know how which
Oh,
that they think it's a J.
The
the German
Yeah.
type, yeah.
So
J
I'd
and
get Ganjat, and I'm like, excuse me, did I tell you the Y is a J? You know? And then even my son's name, one lady always had to say, "Oh, how's Juan?" I'm like, "Who's Juan?" My son's name is Juwan. Who's Juan? Oh, how's Juan? I'm like, "What do you mean?"
But
She goes,
wait,
"I
so where
thought
does your
the
son's
J
name
was
come
an
from?
H."
Is your son's
His
name?
name is Yoruba now, but she thought the J
Okay.
was how
Is
the
Ye.
Mexican or whatever is like a H.
Yeah, but come on, that's a massive name in
Thank you,
Mexico
because
and whatnot.
do I look
No.
Mexican?
No, but it doesn't matter.
No,
It
but
doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter.
That's
Some
that
people
name
take those
Juan
names on.
is a massive name in
Yeah, but my son's name is not
region.
even. I spell it out, right?
How's it spelled?
but-
How's it spelled?
I know we're laughing about this, but we must not shy away from putting in the hard work. This again comes back to what we said earlier about we putting out that perception that we're trying too much. My back's been against the wall. Tyler mentioned about the African time. When I want to go my interviews, they know me. But you have to ask yourself unconsciously, are you doing that to impress them? Are you doing that so they don't see you as same as your people? I'm just asking these questions. With the names, it's about trying. We try a lot. We need to give
This is the
ourselves
thing.
credit.
They
They don't
need to
tell me their
try
names
too,
and I
is what I'm
pronounce it,
saying.
and I know they come back to me and say, oh my God, you just pronounced it rightly. They always tell me this. How did you
Yeah.
know? Because I
Yeah,
put
but
the effort.
we're
I
asking them
put
to do
the
the
effort. You
same.
put the effort. Put the
Exactly,
work
do
in.
the same. Just
Simple.
try.
Simple as
Just
that.
try.
Even after I've told you, you need
Yeah.
to still put the effort.
Yeah.
Don't just
Just
assume.
try.
Because we try a
yeah.
lot, and we do. We
Mhm.
do.
Yeah, I
And we
agree.
have to
I
understand that
agree.
for a
They need
lot
to
of
put the
us-
effort.
For a lot of us, English is not our first language, so we've
Yeah.
had to learn. So, you two try. And I
It's
definitely
simple.
credit people that
Everyone
try.
needs to try.
Try. Just try.
But I agree with people having to try and put in the effort. But what I would say is that we shouldn't expect everyone to get it right, even if
No,
they've
no,
tried
don't
10
get
times.
it right.
But it's just a
Forget
try.
getting it right. It's the trying.
Yeah,
No
yeah,
matter.
It's just
Just try.
I won't
Okay.
bite anybody if you call me whatever. But yeah, it's just that.
You
Ma-
speak
It's like
articulately. So,
it's like Nigerians
sorry.
with the H's. Like you can tell a Nigerian to say
don't
to
don't
drop their
start.
H's.
Don't start. Don't start.
Like
Sorry,
Don't start
Okay.
with the
what did you
TH.
say?
You speak articulately. So I'm gonna just put this out there. Have you ever been described as you talk posh or you're
Well,
talking sounding white
no, love.
or
What had
sounding
Okay.
happened
proper?
was I went to boarding school, you see.
Oh, she
And
sounded posh
before I
now.
went to boarding school, I had an English tutor back home for 4 years before I came to this
Oh.
country. So I spoke like this when I got here. But yeah, I had an English tutor back home. He was Ghanaian. He was born and raised in England. And I saw him every day for 5 days a week for 4 years before I came here, or 3 years or something. So I kind of, so because even when I came here, when I went to boarding school when I came here at 16, and the people at boarding school were like, you speak so well, considering you've been fighting lions and stuff. Yes, they thought I fought lions and lived in the huts. And I said, no, I don't fight lions to get to
So
school
my
every
thing is,
day.
what do they expect you to speak like?
They wanted me, they thought I
Like
would talk
Kunta Kinte.
like this, like Kunta Kinte, and pronounce all my words like this.
Hey,
I
like
think that's
I
what they
did
thought.
do.
So they were like, you just got here. How do you speak like this already?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, where my country, first of all, we speak first language. Well, not first, our main language is English. That's the universal language in Nigeria. Then we have the different languages and whatever, but our business language is English. So a lot of us speak very good English. And if you're lucky enough to have gone to really good school, I did English language as after school. That's all I did after school.
Yeah.
So for me, I could write you if any of you need essays, reports, whatever done, I got you for a
You
fee.
didn't say when I was
you
struggling last week. Now you're saying it.
Sorry.
Oh,
But yeah,
shit.
I always spoke like this. And even my very, very good friends at uni or whatever, they used to tease me like, oh, you sound so posh, why are you putting it on? I'm like, this is just how I speak. My
Because
sister
we're
and I, this is how we
stereotypically
speak.
supposed to talk one way. We're all sort of
Yeah,
supposed to.
Yeah.
Isn't
yeah.
it's
This
not
is just how it
okay.
is.
I know our producer is going to be on my back in regards to this because we are supposed to be 45 minutes, but I am going to throw this because I think we need to talk about this one.
Yeah.
Jude, you've mentioned this before. I think it's a 13-year-old man
Yeah.
rather than a 13-year-old boy.
Kid,
We know
child.
the media
Yeah.
and can sort of make things, they put their biases out there.
Yeah.
So a 13-year-old boy was
Yeah.
named as a man. Jude, do you want to take this one?
Yeah. If I'm correct by my history, Emmett Till was described that way, and he was killed by people who are actually grown-up men. So this in journalism is the underhand tactics they use. I was taught in school, in uni, right in this country, when I did a bit of it as part of my module. If you want to know in the Evening Standard or the free paper they used to give around, the Metro one, whether the perpetrator of a certain crime was a white person, the way you find out is they call the attacker unknown. They just describe them as a male in their 50s or in their 30s. That's how you know is a white person. And 10 times out of 10, it turns out it was a white person. If he was a black person, they will name tag that person immediately. They don't care whether it goes to court. So what they did with the child and boys and young girls was, now they said this child has gone to the shop to shoplift, for example. If they report the news, first of all, as a 7-year-old child or 13-year-old child who's gone to the shop to shoplift, what the child in that headline does to people reading or hearing it over TV, what it does is, hang on, that's a child. That child was hungry.
Yeah.
But that's no news. They won't sell papers. So people will not pay attention to it. But when they come back and say, a 13-year-old man, nobody remembers a 13.
How can you call a 13-year-old a man?
They go for
but
the
there's
man.
more.
It's the man.
They then had
It's
a 17-year-old man and
Man.
named him a 17-year-old boy.
Child. So it's the man that people, because if you look at
So
newspapers,
you can tell the 13-year-old was of an ethnic. I think it was a black boy.
That's how you know he's an
Latino,
ethnic person.
But the 17-year-old was a white
guy. So that's what they
guy.
do. That's what they do. So when we read papers, You turn to the left, you turn to the right. The right is what has the bigger headlines because you don't go this way, you ignore this and you go this way. So everything is deliberate. So when they say a 13-year-old man, you don't remember the 13 that you just read, the man. And you said the 13-year-old man touched the woman. And they
How
go, oh
is
my
a
God, he needs to
13-year-old
be
a
punished.
man?
That's what they do. So
That's
That's the
it is
media.
ageism. It is ageism and it's targeted at minorities mostly. And it's not just against Black people. It's always minorities in every society. They use that term and just to distract people from the real news. And when you pull them over, when they want to apologize for it, guess what? After they've splashed it on the front page, they go put it in the page 48
Yeah.
in a tiny
And a
bit.
tiny,
Apologies,
tiny
and
small
that's it.
print. Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
it. They've destroyed you forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's what it is. It's bias.
Yeah.
It's complete bias against ethnic
The
minorities.
media has always been like that, notoriously, especially British media, from what I know. They've been, I mean, we all know the stories. I'm not even gonna get into it. So I don't, anything I read in the media, I really don't, especially certain papers that are known for being blatantly biased. I just,
Daily Mail.
thank you. They
I
just,
don't mind saying it.
I
Daily,
don't,
they call it Daily Fail.
if I see
Daily
any
Fail, yeah,
article,
Daily Fail.
if I see any article that's about a non-white person, I don't read it. If it's from the Daily Mail, I
don't
read it
that
from
rubbish.
a lot of other places. But once I see this Daily Mail article, I don't bother reading it. There's just no point because I just don't believe them. I don't know if they've changed or whatever, but I just don't believe them.
They'll never change. They'll never change.
I haven't read them for ages. I wouldn't know if they've changed or not. So
no.
I just don't bother.
Well, this could be a good conversation though. Like I was just thinking, like what we were talking about should people be outed for stuff before being proven guilty? You know,
I know where you're going with that one.
Yeah,
which is something that's current at the moment. It is something that's current at the moment. And you know what, that even links to something because somebody's done something to now try and affiliate somebody else to it because you think that they're similar as well.
Yeah.
Because they've done many roles together. But this possibly could be a different topic. Perhaps we'll look into that. But what I wanted to say was this is part 2. We have spoken about ageism bias. We've spoken about racism and it being biased. We've covered everything within part 1 and part 2. There's probably even more that we can talk about, but unfortunately we've come up to the end of this episode. But one thing I know that we all need to do is just check our own biases, because it's not just a black on white or white on black, it's everywhere. We just need to ensure that we are not making decisions or reacting because of something to the other person.
Before you go, can I say something quick?
Yeah, sure.
I think it's in line with what you're saying. I think whether we like it or not, the whole world, we're all different people. I don't agree with people when they say we're all created equal, we're all wherever. I agree with we have differences and we need to respect each other in line with those differences. I think what we need to do, and in so many situations I've challenged it, I think what we need to do more is challenge more. We need to be able to speak out, but we need to check, because I've been in situations where I know this constitutes of grave bias, but I've just thought quickly and said, this person, their job might be on the line, so I'll keep it hush and I'll walk away. I've been in so many situations like that, but I think we need to judge those situations personally, individually, and see and think about it very quick, not intuition, but think about it very quick, the implications. Then we need to be able to challenge it. If it's become a culture, say in the workplace, then we need to stand up and challenge it. Most of us don't do. We wait till the last day and we send that stinking email. Because sometimes though, it is so disheartening when you start hearing, oh, I've been going through that as well. Oh, same with you. I do speak up a lot and people have come up to me and said, you're so bold. I'm like, it's not about that. I really don't care sometimes because it's so painful. So my advice is challenge this, but please do it very reasonably, because they can easily turn against you and you will be the one who will suffer it, especially in your workplace.
Yeah, especially workplace, have proof.
Yeah,
have evidence.
You don't have support at all, so you're thrown under the dogs. And if you think you belong to a union and they'll support you, man, you're joking. So you need to really, for yourself, quickly, very quickly, in 2-3 minutes, reflect on whatever's just happened and make that decision. It's very quick. Whether you want to raise that, I'm saying don't sleep on it, but raise it. But please, just think for yourself. It's about you. It's not about me. It's about you. Judge for yourself. Because I tell you, people who look like you, even me will look like you, so that we can even throw you under the bus. It's not about people who look differently. So you
Yeah,
need to
that's a
pick
good
your
point.
battles, but please challenge at all times. Otherwise, society will never be different. Challenge
good
it, even
point.
if it's your own person doing it. You need to
Yeah.
challenge it, even if it's those who look
Yeah.
like you.
Yes.
Tyler, did
that's
you
a
want to
good
say
point.
something quickly?
Yeah, that's a good point, Jude. What you were saying, the ending of what you said, I really agree with. And also, we
Thank
spoke
you.
about all these different biases, but a lot of it as well is we have to look at our own biases as well. You know, we have to, as Black people, and an example of that is not always thinking that every white person is racist. You know, if they do something to wrong us, sometimes our first thought, and I've been there myself, where I'm like, that person's racist.
Is it because I was
But
Black?
yeah, like that's not always the case. So I think that because that alone is a bias. That's
Yeah, it
us
is.
saying that this
And
person is racist.
remember,
You know, so,
your actions leads on to the next. Because I had an example of this I'm a teacher in school where a child actually named another person, an adult, being racist, and had to go back to the child and talk it through, only for the child to realize that she's using it in the wrong context and was just like, well, I think the teacher was being mean to me. And I was like, well, you don't just pick that word. Where did you get that word from? So we need to be
Exactly.
aware as adults. So
Yeah.
check your biases, because you need to be aware what you're saying and how you're reacting, because that does follow on to the next generation.
Yeah.
And we're having to deal with it from a young age. But
Mhm.
as we say, if you can please just subscribe to this channel, hit the notification bell as well, and like this video. Hashtag check your bias. This is us, and we have arrived.
Thank
see you
you.
later.
Toodles.
Peace. Have a good
Toodles.
weekend. Happy New Year.
The weekend is ended, Tyler.
He
Oh,
said
it's bank
Happy New
holiday.
Year.
Happy
Bank holiday, bro.
Yeah, what do you mean New Year? Happy New
Oh
Month.
God.
Happy New
Who said
Year to
New
the
Year?
people that are joining us for the first time this year. Happy New Year.
I hear it's a different kind of Easter as well.